Hello everyone, welcome back to Debating for America's Youth. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Rashon Leday. He is the national champion in prose in the 2019 year, and last year in the 2017-2018 year, he was in duo finals. Welcome, Rashon.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Well, first of all, I would just like to say it was great meeting you at NSDA.
Yeah,
I was really cool that we stumbled on each other, and I'm really, happy for all your accomplishments.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot, man. Yeah.
So, my first question is, how did you get into speech and debate? How did you hear about it, and what made you want to start pursuing the club as much as you did?
So, what made me really get into speech and debate was, I always, enjoy making people laugh and stuff like that. And I was in band class. I don't do band anymore. But I was in band class, and this girl turned to me. And, I think I was doing, I don't know, I was doing something silly. And she turned to me, and she was like, you should join speech. I was like, why would I do that? I don't have a speech impediment. And she was like, no, that's not what it is. And then she explained to me that it was, competitive acting. And I was like, that sounds really cool. And so I went to the speech coach at my middle school, and I had a little audition basically, and she let me in, and ever since then I've been competing.
So how was it starting in middle school? Do you think that was a big advantage because you got in early and you got to learn those skills, or how do you feel about joining in middle school versus in high school like most people do?
I was awful. Oh my God, I was so bad in middle school. I was horrendous. I remember, my first competition, I did so bad, but, I stuck with it. And I do feel like I have an advantage, but not over any other competitor. As far as competition goes, I don't feel like I have an edge in competition. I feel like I have an advantage because I was able to do the activity that I love so much. I was able to do it longer than most people get to do for the 4 years. So I definitely feel like that's a plus for me. I just had extra time to do it. And because I joined in middle school, so I'm really happy about that.
Well, I joined in my freshman year of high school, and I remember that what you're talking about in your early middle school experience, I experienced my freshman year. So my first competition, I competed in Congress, and I went in, and I didn't speak at all. You're supposed to give speeches and all that stuff. I didn't ask a single question. I just sat there the whole time. And I wrote my bill, it's federal Senate stuff. I wrote my bill on cleaning up sidewalks. That was from snow. That was my bill. And so people tease me about that, but everyone has to go through that time where they're not good. They look back and they're like, I was not good at all. And then you grow and you learn from that. And so that was, everyone goes through that. You were very lucky to be able to experience that in middle school. And then once you got to high school, you had already gone through that learning experience. So that's pretty cool.
That's how it was when I did Congress in, I think, was it the beginning of this year? Well, it was the beginning of my junior year. I'm going into my senior year now. And I did Congress for the first time, and I just sat there like what is going on? And I was just shocked, but I wanted to start doing Congress, so I think I gave one speech, and it was bad. But I asked a lot of questions, and I was like, oh, I asked a bunch of questions. Hopefully I can get a trophy. Not how it works. So yeah, I took that as a learning experience. And then the next weekend, we had another Congress competition. And after that learning experience, I was like, okay, I flopped, but now I need to get up. I need to work, and I need to learn how to do this event so that I can leave with a trophy. So I worked hard all that week, leading up to the next, which would be my second Congress tournament, but I call it my first because it was the first time that I tried in Congress, and I won that tournament in Congress. So
oh wow,
it's fun. It's fun. But it was definitely humbling.
Cool. So what would you say would be your favorite part of speech and debate? If you could say one or two things about the organization and your time in it.
First of all, I love that speech and debate gives me a voice. I love that it gives people who don't have a platform to speak. I love that speech gives you 10 minutes to share and touch on a topic that you're passionate about. And my second favorite thing, well, I have like three favorite things, but my second favorite thing is like all the cool people that I get to meet. That's super fun, meeting new people from like all over the country and in some cases the world. And my third favorite thing is going to travel in tournaments and like getting to eat all types of food. I love food. So
Yeah.
that would be like my things that I pretty much love about speech.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I love traveling as well, and I'm
Hmm.
so happy that speech and debate took me that avenue because usually my traveling is with my parents, but I was able to go to CFLs and NSDA, and I was able to travel, and I was like, this is pretty cool. This is what
Yeah.
I enjoy doing, and if I can do it for an organization I like, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, those are very good things to be, to like speech and debate about. So you are very accomplished in speech and debate almost every year, even going back to your freshman year, six at NCFLs. That's insane. So you've had an crazy like time in speech and debate. What would you
Yeah.
say? Like, what practices Did you do? Not with your team and also by yourself to help you like grow to be that stronger competitor.
That's a good question, actually. Um, wow. I would say practices. I don't really do any like bizarre practices or like I don't have any bizarre methods. I just work hard at what I'm doing, and I have to remember that it's about advocacy. I'm advocating for something that I'm passionate about, whether it be a certain topic or subject. And it's like when your pieces are genuine to you, that's when you get the best out of them. When you love what you're doing, and you love your piece, that's when you will get the best out of what you're doing. I love doing warm-ups with my team. We don't have like any special or like unique things that we do to make us compete the way we do. It's just our messages hit so close to home for us. We have no choice but to perform them well. Like when it's that genuine to you, you it's like that. You automatically get it, you know. And do pieces that you're connected to, pieces that you want to do, things that you want to talk about, and that's when you'll start to do better in speech.
That makes a lot of sense. So I have to ask. So you went to NSDA for POI, and you ended up breaking. I don't know how much. I was just looking
Mm-hmm.
at tab room to a certain level before you ended up switching to your supplementary event. Did
Mm-hmm.
you like? Did you intend to get that far in POI? Were you like? Or did you end up like practicing and preparing for pros when you went in? Like, how did that work out?
No, I did not practice or prepare for pros before going to NSDA. It was not my
Really?
intention. Yeah, it wasn't my intention to not go in POI. It was my goal to make it to the final stage of POI. However, I did not. But I was lucky enough that I didn't break, sorry, so early on in the competition that I was still able to go in pros and do as well as I did. So for that reason, I'm happy, but at the same time, it's like whenever you don't break at nationals, you're like, oh, I didn't break, but I got a second chance, and I took that second chance and I ran with it all the way to the end.
Yeah,
But
I mean, you really did.
yeah.
So wait, did most people who went into pros with you and like in the final round, did they intend to not break in their primary event to get to their supplementary event, or did a lot of people like not break in like the event they wanted to, so they did pros? I don't. I
Mhm.
mean, my first time at NSDA Nationals was last year, and I actually didn't even know, or I guess this last year, and I didn't really know about supplementary events at all. So I'm still trying to learn about those.
Yeah, of course. I don't necessarily think anyone intends to go to nationals in a supplementary event. I feel like it's just the kind of thing that happens. Like in my case, I didn't intend to go in a supplementary. I intended to go in poi, and then whenever I didn't break, I had from the time I found out that I didn't break, I had till then to like compose myself and be like, okay, I didn't break. Like it's okay. Just I have to focus on pros now. And
Mm,
after that, got the pros, got it cut down to 5 minutes, I think. Yeah, 5 minutes. And then the next day, I just had to suck up the fact that I didn't break in poi, and I had to perform my heart out for pros the next day, and I did, and it turned out well. However, in some cases, some people do try like to go in their supplementary. Like my school, if we don't qualify in like in an event that like we would have wanted to go to nationals in, we qualify in something like Congress. And some people
Like Josh did.
exactly like Josh Moten. Josh is from our school. He won poetry, and he did not want to go. He did not want to go to NSDA in Congress because debate is not our forte. And so yeah, it was Josh's intention to go in poetry to nationals.
How do you think you became so successful? I know you talked earlier about like you had a message that you really wanted to share, but like I mean, like when you're speaking and you're performing, like what specifically? Because like your school is a really successful school in speech. So like, what do you think that like you specifically like did and like I guess you have that made you so successful? And what does your school have that makes like your whole team so successful?
I would say what our school has that makes us successful is we have a phenomenal coach, and he's so like he loves this activity so much. He loves all of his students so much, and he just loves what he does. He loves being able to cut pieces and like making him excited about it. He likes helping us advocate for the things that we want to talk about, and most of all, he gives us a voice. Like he gives us a voice, and we use the platform that we have, and we're just advocating for things that we want people to know, that we need more people to talk about, things that we need to make people aware of. And he helps us do that. And I think that's the reason that my school has been so successful, is because of our coach. Without him, we wouldn't be where we are today. I wouldn't even be where I am today without my coach. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I really like my coach as well. I think that, you know, as I told you earlier, I'm from like a new school. So a lot of, it's a lot of from the ground up stuff, and like coaches can play a huge like part in like that transformation. So for like, if there's a new novice who's either starting like speech and debate or like has been in speech and debate for not that long, what would you tell them? Like, as someone who's been successful and gone through speech and debate for so many years through middle school and high school, what would you say to a new novice?
To a new novice, I would say, at first, you probably will not succeed in the event that you're going in, but like immerse yourself in speech. Try every event you can, because you may not like DI, but you may be a genius at HI or prose or poetry. Try every single event you can and find what you like doing, and then once you find what you like doing, you talk about that, because that's what makes you passionate. You talk about that, you advocate for it, you fight for a message, and make sure that you're enjoying it. And most of all, make sure that you're having fun. Like, it's a competition, but you also need to have fun while you're doing it, because if you're not having fun, then you're doing it for no reason. That's what I think most people forget about speech and debate, is like, yeah, it's a competition, but you should also be having fun. It shouldn't be like just a competition. You should also have fun with what you're doing and have fun with the message that you're telling. And challenge yourself. Like, do things you never thought you would do. Like, I never ever when I first started doing speech in a million years thought I would be where I am today. But I stuck with what I did and what I loved, and I stuck with the messages that I was performing, and it turned out great. Like, it turned out great. So just stick with it. Stick with speech and debate. I promise you it will pay off in the future.
So, you've tried out a lot of different events. Like, what made, like, do you like certain events over other events, or did you just kind of, like, go into an event with the message you want to share and then just use, like, I guess, the form of the speech event you're trying out to spread that message? Or, like, what, because you've done lots of different ones, from deck to duo to prose to POI. So, like, what is, like, how do you feel about the different events?
I feel like every event is special in speech because it allows you to talk about something, and it gives you a voice. So I definitely feel like every single speech event is special in some way, shape, or form. And I all feel like they're super educational. And as far as a favorite event goes, I don't know if I have a favorite event. Or I do like prose. I love duo. But I just like speech. I whatever event I do, I put 110% into it, and like yeah, like I just put 110% into whatever event I'm doing, and I get the results that I want because I've worked so hard to get where I am, and I expect nothing less of myself.
I mean, you definitely do put in a lot of work. Wait, so you said that you didn't have a prose
Hmm.
prepared for nationals until you didn't break, and then you ended up going into it. But have you ever done prose as an event before, or is it like a
Yes.
first thing when you didn't break in your event, you just went in a supplementary event?
So, I'm from Louisiana, and we have an event called it's called oral interpretation, and that's prose and poetry. So it's like round one you'd be doing prose, and round two you'd be doing poetry, but it's in the event called OI. So it's like you have two different pieces, but in one event. And the prose that I performed at nationals, I had been doing that prose all year. However, I was not doing the same cutting that I did at nationals. I had been doing a 10-minute version back home, and then for nationals we had to cut it down into 5 minutes. And until the night before I had to perform it, I had not done that performance for it ever. So round one was my first time doing that performance of that prose.
Was that hard having to cut back that much of something that you've already? Because I know, like, talking to a lot of different speech kids, like the time like limit that they have, they like cut it perfectly to fit that time, which would be 10 minutes for you, and then having to cut it back even more would take a lot of stuff that you find valuable out of it. Did you find that to be true, or did it just like make it easier to like expedite it, or how did you feel about having to cut it back so much?
It it was I don't want to say like it was hard, like it was difficult to do, because it wasn't difficult. It was just hard having to get rid of so much information that I wanted to share. It was hard having to cut down such a beautiful story and compress it into such a small amount of time and have to perform that with the same intensity that I would and can reach in 10 minutes, and have to do that in 5 minutes. So it was disheartening that I wasn't able to do the full 10 minutes, because the story was just so beautiful. Like Christy Thomas, she wrote that story beautifully, and it was just disheartening that I was not able to give the full 10-minute performance of that entire story and really just let that character develop in front of the audience. But I was still incredibly grateful that I was even able to perform after not breaking, so that I was
Yeah.
still able to share a message anyway. Even if I had 30 seconds, I was still grateful that I was able to share a message that I felt so strongly about and that I was so connected to.
Um, well, I have two questions. The first one is, what was I didn't end up I didn't watch your prose. What was it about? Because I mean you're passionate about the message you want to share. So like, what was that message about? What was your piece about?
So my prose is about it's about a young man, and he has flashbacks from when he's older and from when he's younger as like a child. And he's sitting down and he's having breakfast with his mom, and the radio comes on, and it's Dr. Martin Luther King, and he's talking about the march on Selma. And this little kid, he understands how important unity in the community is, and just like how that can help. He doesn't understand why white people and black people in this time period are not equal. He does not understand that. So what he wants to do is he wants to go to this walk because he wants to make a difference. He In his mind, people are people. You know, a lot of times children don't understand what racism is, and like in the full 10-minute cutting, his mom sits him down and she's like, there are people like who want to do you harm for something that you cannot control, and there are people who like you for something as simple as the color of your skin. Like, you didn't even ask for this, you know. And she has to have that talk with her son, and she hugs him really tight, and he says, it wasn't until I left home that I realized the reason my mother hugged me so tight was because I might not come back home. And that was his first moment when he realized that things weren't okay, and that made him want to go to the walk even more, so that he could make a difference. And so he goes to the walk, and he talks about walking for miles and miles. And then he meets a man named Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson had his 2-year-old son on his back. And him and Mr. Wilson, they laughed and they took pictures. And it was already hard for him because he lost his brother in the war. And so it was just him and his mom now. And so he met Mr. Wilson at the walk, and Mr. Wilson was kind of like another big brother to him. And while they're walking, a white supremacist pulls up in his truck, and he essentially sets Mr. Wilson and his 2-year-old son on fire, along with a group of other people that he attended the walk with. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's really wow. That's moving. Oh wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone else wrote this piece and you just performed it, right?
Uh-huh. And it was really cool because I got to meet the author of the piece, and we got to take pictures together. She's incredible. She's a phenomenal woman, and she's pretty cool. She's cool.
How did you end up meeting her? Was it after Nationals or before? Or how did
it
you
was
meet her?
before Nationals, and I was doing another one of her pieces in duet, and I won my state tournament in duet with her piece, and I saw her like walking around. I was like, oh my god, and I was completely fangirling out. I was like, oh my god, it's Christy Thomas. I have to meet her. And so, and I went talked to her, and she was just so sweet and genuine and just down to earth. And I was like, man, she's cool. And then I didn't break, and I was doing prose, and so I started performing, and I started getting all ups, which is they have an up down system, and you have to if you have to get an up to keep advancing in the tournament, but if you get 2 downs, then you're completely out of the tournament. And I didn't have any downs, and so I just kept advancing, and then I saw her, and I was in finals, and I went up to her and I was like, hi, I'm in finals with your piece, and she hugged me really tight, and it was a cool experience. It was cool. Not many people get to meet the author of their pieces, so it was pretty cool.
Did you talk to her or email her after you won Nationals with her piece? Because that's pretty amazing.
Yes, her and I were still in contact. After right after I came off stage, I did the interview backstage. And then she grabbed me, and we took some pictures together and stuff like that, and she uploaded those pictures to her website. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome, yeah. And so, when you were performing at all, did you ever get nervous when you were on stage? I mean, I know that supplementary events had a different stage, but did you ever get nervous when you were in duo finals or even in finals for pros?
I don't know why, but I was nervous for both of them. All the nervousness kind of fades away when you're performing and you're in that character, because it's Rashon, he's not even here anymore. I left that guy. He's somewhere, he's in the audience watching. I don't know. Now I'm this character. But my sophomore year, going into duo finals, going onto the stage, I was walking so fast. Because I was so nervous that I walked so much ahead of my duo partner, which he's the NSDA DI champion now. I walked so like far ahead of him because like I was so nervous, but like I was smiling so big because like I was cool because everybody wants to make the stage. That's everyone's goal in speech and debate, and it was like I finally did it. And so like I'm walking like so fast on the stage, and then we start. We did the piece. The performance was good. I messed up so many times. Oh my God, I messed up so many times. But going into Prose finals, I got up there. I don't know why, but my legs were shaking. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we've done this before. Like, relax. So, I don't know. I was just shaking. But when I started performing all of that, it just kind of fades away. And, like, I was a character. And now I have to tell his story to the best of my ability. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine getting up on stage for Congress. You perform in front of people, like like
in
your
a little room,
competitors. Oh, most of the people there, and yeah, I can't imagine doing that. I was like, and no, the first time I got on stage with like it was out of school, and I got like a microphone, and the spotlights were on me, and I was like, and I like started stuttering, and I was like, I'm in speech and debate, I should know how to do this, but yeah, and then once you do it more and more, it ends up getting better. But yeah, I know the feeling. I can't imagine like being in finals your sophomore year, like the nerves that would come with that. So. Like, if you could say something to the speech and debate community right here, like the people who watch us are, speech and debate members of, all different ages, some coaches watch us. What would you say to the community as a whole, New Year, or just as a speech and debate member?
As a speech and debate member and someone who's been doing speech for like, I don't know, like 5 years or something, I would say make sure that you are 100% having fun. Make sure that you're connected to your message, and make sure you know and understand who you are, and make sure that you're being genuine to yourself and what you're performing, and make sure that you love what you're doing, even if people hate it. Like, if you're being true to yourself and you really enjoy what you're doing, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Like don't even worry about them. Like, don't care what people think about you. Don't care about anything. What you're doing up there is because of you and the people who don't have a voice. So you have to advocate for yourself and those people in that moment, and just don't even care what other people think or what they have to say about it. Because in the bigger scheme of things, their opinions, like their bad opinions, their negative opinions, it's insignificant in the bigger scheme of things, because you're doing what you want to do. Like, you got yourself up there to perform. Nobody else did that for you. You yourself. And you just being able to perform in front of a room, that's the first step. Now you keep working and you get it better, and you go on to perform in front of crowds and crowds of people, and just kill it. Just kill it every step of the way. Just kill it, Just kill it. That's what I would say.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I know a lot of people are going to be helped from this, especially in the speech side of things, because, as a debater myself, it's sometimes hard to, be able to help people in the speech side. But thank you so much for doing this interview.
Of course, no problem.